Today we are talking about Borderlands 3. We're talking about bait. Maybe, maybe not. That's yet to be found out. But what we're definitely going to talk about is a lot of information, a lot of teasers that have surfaced lately that may or may not indicate a very close announcement of Borderlands 3. Now, why do I say bait in this context? Well, because some of this information or some of these teasers are from Randy Pitchford, and Randy Pitchford at this point is kind of known to make teasers about the game that then turn out to not be true and leave the Borderlands fans disappointed over and over. I made a video in the past talking about a potential announcement of Borderlands 3 at the E3 this year, and that didn't turn out to be the case simply because it was based on that very same bait. But this time the information started from another place and not from Randy Pitchford originally, so there may be some truth to it. Additionally, there have been quite a few mentions, not just one since, so who knows? We'll find out. It all started with a tweet from Jeff Keighley, who is one of the people that is responsible for the Game Awards, which will be happening on the 7th of December. The tweet was as follows. Today we start transitioning into the Game Awards World Premiere Land. There are a lot of games we won't be talking about at all until the show. All eyes on you, Walmart Canada. But we do have some great things to tease and announce in the week ahead. So what's up with the mention of Walmart Canada here? Quite a while ago, Walmart Canada had a massive leak of games that were supposed to come out at some point this year, where they basically put all of them on pre-order before they were even announced. Games like, for example, The Division 2, The Last of Us 2, Just Cause 4, Far Cry 5, Rage 2, Beyond Good and Evil 2, a new Assassin's Creed title, and quite a few other games. And all of these games have one thing in common: they already came out. Even Super Smash Bros. For Switch was on that list. And one game that is also on that list, and was one of the few that hasn't been announced yet, is Borderlands 3. So them pointing the finger at Walmart here, again for something that happened in the past, in the context of leaking titles when one of these titles specifically hasn't been leaked, may or may not be a point towards Borderlands 3. And obviously this got people talking, and one of the people that started talking was Randy Pitchford. And Randy Pitchford made not one, not two, but 3 tweets about this specifically. The first tweet was on the 29th of November. My to-do list today has 3 things on it, but I also have 3 meetings scheduled before 3 p.m. Is the universe telling me something? Obviously, kind of low quality bait here, just mentioning the number 3 as often as possible and knowing that there is only one major franchise where people are really looking forward towards a third title that concerns Randy Pitchford, clearly an indication towards Borderlands 3. Then he kind of doubled down with, fun fact, today is the day number 334, number of days that have elapsed in the year. Yesterday was 333. It's really interesting how human minds take so much meaning in arbitrary numbering systems and coincidence. People lose their minds when the calendar flips to the year 3000. Now, what is interesting here is obviously on one hand he points out a lot of 3s, but on the other hand he also kind of says it's people putting too much meaning into arbitrary numbers and people losing their minds over that number, which could again also mean that he's just baiting here and is also just saying people are just falling for the bait. I just have to say the number 3 and people will assume that I'm talking about Borderlands essentially. So in a way this is a double-edged sword. He also in between retweeted a tweet from Cullen Sweet, who is the senior community and influencer marketing manager or whatever at Gearbox. So this guy is somewhere deeply involved with Gearbox, and he posted a tweet of a Borderlands coffee or cappuccino or whatever. So this also obviously again leads to more speculation. And then there was the last tweet from Randy Pitchford, which kind of turns the whole thing around a little bit, maybe. Because this tweet feels like E3 all over again. Now on one hand, we again have the speculation here with the 3. But on the other hand, it could also point in the exact opposite direction, because E3 was the situation where people thought Borderlands 3 would be announced, but it wasn't announced. As such, this tweet could very much imply that people are overhyping things and overinterpreting things and just getting their speculation in the wrong way, basically going in the wrong way with it. And as such, this all doesn't really lead to anything and there won't be any announcements. But we know that there will be some sort of announcements regarding Borderlands. And that is because Borderlands 2 VR for PlayStation 4 is coming out very, very soon. It will be coming out this year on the 14th of December, so very shortly after the Game Awards even take place. It will initially be for PlayStation only, and then there's some speculation that it might be also available for PC like 5 months later because some kind of lockdown will be removed. It doesn't really matter that much for us. I think Borderlands 2 VR is more of a niche thing because most people don't even have a VR device at this point anyways. But it kind of was also speculated that this is released to build up hype for Borderlands 3, and that would very much make sense. Additionally, there's also some information from my last video that is still relevant here that we shouldn't forget about in this context. Take-Two announced that in the fiscal year 2019 they have plans, and these plans included on one hand Red Dead Redemption 2, which has now been released, and on the other hand a highly anticipated new title from one of 2K's biggest franchises, which very much sounds like Borderlands. Borderlands 3 specifically. The fiscal year 2019 runs from April 2018 to March 2019. This would be a little bit clutch for Borderlands 3, to be honest. It would be a very, very quick release after the announcement, which would be surprising considering what we normally see in today's gaming environments and the scheduling and the pacing. That is not to say that it's not possible, but it could also be that Borderlands 3 simply wasn't in the state yet to be released, so they kind of delayed it. And maybe it was initially intended to be announced earlier as well, and the original Walmart leak was actually not wrong, but then they kind of drew back from that after it just became too much work. But at the same time, Randy Pitchford talked about quite a fair bit in that regard on a podcast where he said that the announcement for the game will be really close to the release. He said the game doesn't exist until it's announced, so basically there won't be any expectations until the game is officially announced. He also said that it's negative to build hype too early. That, I guess, at this point is kind of over. I think that ship has sailed because people are just too hyped for Borderlands 3 in general, and he has made too many teases himself that kind of almost riled people up in a way, so he's building that hype if he wants it or not. Last but not least, he said that you want things when they are announced, and that the games industry has very much changed in that regard. And that, I think, is the most crucial point. It might be that the reason why Borderlands wasn't announced at all yet is that they want to make a really, really close release. We see this more and more, especially with console announcements with the Switch. They've done it for a few smaller titles where they literally announce a title the day they release it. Like, guys, this is our game, and if you want to play it, you can play it today, you can download it today. Which I think is a really cool format, but at the same time, sometimes it's nice to have some more hype beforehand. But if that is the strategy for Borderlands 3, then it would make sense that it hasn't been announced yet, even if it's intended to be released in the fiscal year 2019, because it would just be announced a few days before maybe. And last but not least, we also shouldn't forget there was already a tech demo of the game in 2017 that showed off various aspects in terms of the lighting and how the models look like now and the environment and everything. Basically what the engine behind it is like. Obviously the engine alone doesn't mean that the game is anywhere near finished, but at that state it looked like there was already a lot of work being put into it. And we also know that there were some new employees hired since that worked on certain things and would have been working on them for a while now as well. At this point, it is too risky with Borderlands to say there will be a release, because really there's been too much baiting and too much back and forth and making us wait more and more and more to really be sure about anything. But again, it could be a time for at least some new information about the game to come out in the context of Borderlands VR and maybe even a game announcement. I really hope that's the case. We've been waiting for a long time now, and I really think that it would be a good year to release Borderlands as well, from the context of most of the PC releases this year being very, very weak. So if a good PC title was coming out, then a lot of people would be playing it, a lot of people would be talking about it. So it's the perfect timing. Just do it, even if it's not finished. No one finishes their games anymore anyways. Just kidding. I'd rather have a finished game than some half-finished product. So if we have to wait longer, we have to wait longer. But I still hope that the game's nearly done. And with that, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope this was interesting, insightful. Let me know how you feel about the baiting and back and forth with the game, and if you think it's actually going to be released. I will see you for the next one tomorrow. If you're new to the channel, feel free to sub button as well. It really helps me out. DukeSloth out.